So the next couple we are going to be talking about in this series of MAFS villains to Pity Pipeline is Juliette and Joel. So this couple gets introduced to us along with two other couples midway through the series. They usually bring in extra couples as well. And I'm just gonna say it from the jump. When I first was introduced to Joel, I was not impressed. Like I did not like this man. His personality just rubbed me the wrong way. Like I just found him annoying, I will be honest. Like the way he would talk, I was just like, oh, like everything about him just irritated me. Like I was just irritated whenever he would come up on my screen. However, I'll acknowledge that Joel fit Juliet's description. So I think that's something we actually do need to acknowledge, like very heavily, that Joel matches Juliet's description. Now maybe he matches it too much, but he does match her description, and she can never say that the experts didn't match her well. So, side note, when they were at the wedding, like the wedding reception, when they all eat, why was Gia and Scott getting on to him? Like, bear in mind, at this point, I'm still not liking this guy. He hasn't showed me anything that's making me want to like him, but why are people trying to drag me at my own wedding? Strangers, by the way. Like, what Gia was on in that wedding situation, and obviously Scott will defend her in anything. But I just found it very odd. Like, this is not your wedding. Let's have some home training, guys. Like, what is that? But anyways, back to these two's wedding. What was happening? The speech he gave, and then the speech the mum gave. Oof. It didn't score any brownie points, no positivity for them. However, I found it weird that Juliette only brought up the fact that her friends found it a bit weird. It's like, no, hun, you also found it weird, and I was a bit confused why she's like trying to hide behind her friends. But I do understand that maybe early days you don't want to just say your thoughts straight away. But I did think that was a bit. She should have just been upfront. And then the more and more we see this couple, the more and more she's starting to get icked out by him. She's really starting to dislike the way he moves, the way he talks. But then she starts to be very unkind to him. And I think this is where I think what happened before was that we pitied Juliette, and now she's becoming a villain. And not to say that Joel was a villain, but he wasn't, at least in my opinion, held in high regard. I did not hold him in high regard. All shade, all shade. I'm not even gonna say no shade. I did not hold him in any high regard. However, like their villain rankings went in opposite directions. So Juliet starts to be very unkind to Joel. Like stuff like shutting the door when they were meant to do a challenge, calling him devil eyes, just a bunch of shit that it gets to a point where even I, as someone who didn't like Joel from the start, I'm starting to feel like I feel like even me, I would be kinder to this man. And you liked him from the beginning, but like your emotions to him just changed, and you're not like being kind about it. Like you can just say, I don't like your personality, I don't think we get on, lock it off. But the constant being unkind, and then they had that dinner party where she basically went back to him, made it seem like they were all fine, to go and drag him again at the dinner party. Whew. Like, she was just doing too much. So she's dragging him now at the dinner party, saying everything, talking about the teddy bear, all of this. The experts drag her. She then fixes up. And we're like, okay, these people are acting normal again. But then she calls, at some retreat, she starts beefing with Beck and other people. Personally, I don't know if what she called Beck was that deep, but maybe it's because I don't like Beck. So she could have called Beck anything and I wouldn't have even blinked an eye. But people are like, oh, this is our order. And then her man doesn't defend her. And then eventually she just leaves him after what's it called? What does she leave him? She leaves him at some commitment ceremony where she exposes her and Gia's plan to try and drag Beck. You man are dumb. How are you gonna expose your plan? If the plan was to try and throw Beck under the bus, why would you out of your mouth say that was our plan? It's like you man don't have common sense. But anyways, all to say, originally, I don't know if I would say Joel was the villain, but he wasn't. I had no high regards for him, but he definitely left with pity. Juliette left in high regard. No, Juliette had high regards and left the villain. So, another key theme of the women leaving low key being villains. Also, that whole drum set with him and the. I'm not sure if I can say that on TikTok, but with the things that he shouldn't be having in his hands. Yeah, that was disgraceful. That was so embarrassing. Actually, disgraceful is a bit harsh, but that was embarrassing. I was like, whoa, get down. I would definitely get the ick as well. But then again, I would never be paired with a man like Joel. But this is still what Juliette said she wanted, so she can't be too mad at it. But yeah, that was Juliet's now become the villain, and well, nothing else. I don't know where she at now, but yeah.